Harper Audio presents The Man Who Created the Middle East by Christopher Simon Sykes, read by Mike Grady. Of this I am sure, we shall never in our lives meet anyone like him. F.E. Smith, 1st Earl Birkenhead. Introduction. It is extraordinary to think that my grandfather, Sir Mark Sykes, was only 36 years old when he found himself signatory to one of the most controversial treaties of the 20th century, the Sykes-Picot Agreement. This was the secret pact arranged between the Allies in the First World War in 1916 to divide up the Ottoman Empire in the event of their victory. It was a piece of typical diplomacy in which each side tried its best not to tell the other exactly what it was that it wanted, while making the vaguest promises to various Arab tribes that they would have their own kingdom in return for fighting on the Allied side. None of these promises materialized in the aftermath of the war, Arab aspirations being dashed during the subsequent peace conference, in which the rivalries and clashes of the great powers, all eager to make the best deals for themselves in the aftermath of victory, dominated the proceedings and pushed the issue of the rights of small nations into the background. This was the cause of bad blood, which has survived to the present day. Perhaps it is because my grandfather's name is placed before that of his fellow signatory that history has tended to make him the villain of the peace, rather than Monsieur Georges Picot. "You're writing about that arsehole," commented an Italian historian in Rome last year, while even my publisher suggested that a good title for the book might be The Man Who Fucked Up the Middle East. These kinds of comment only strengthened my resolve to find out the truth about a man of whom I had no romantic perceptions, since he died nearly 30 years before I was born. I felt this meant I could be objective. I also knew that there was much more to him than his involvement in the division of the Ottoman Empire, which occupied only the last 4 years of his life. Before that, he had led a life filled with adventures and experiences. As a boy, he had traveled to Egypt and India, explored the Arabian desert, and visited Mexico. He had been to school in Monte Carlo, where he had befriended the croupiers in the casino, before attending Cambridge under the tutorship of M.R. James. His first book, an account of his travels through Turkey, was published when he was 20, before he went off to fight in the Boer War. He traveled extensively throughout the Ottoman Empire, mapping areas that cartographers had never before visited. He was generally recognized as a talented cartoonist, whose drawings appeared regularly in Vanity Fair, as well as being an excellent mimic and amateur actor, gifts that, when he eventually entered the House of Commons, ensured a full house whenever he spoke. All this against a background of a difficult and lonely childhood that he rose above to make a happy marriage and become the father of 6 children. I decided to tell his story largely through his correspondence with his wife Edith, a collection of 463 letters written from the time they met till a year before his death. As well as chronicling his daily activities, they provide a fascinating insight into his emotional state, since he never held back from expressing his innermost feelings, pouring his emotions onto the page, whether anger, embodied in huge capital letters and exclamation marks, humor, represented by a charming cartoon, or occasionally despair, characterized by long monologues of self-pity. They are also filled with expressions of deep love for Edith, with whom he shared profound spiritual beliefs. Sadly, almost none of her letters have survived. Needless to say, his writings also often embody the attitudes regarding race that were common among members of his class in a world which was largely ruled by Great Britain. Though they are anathema to us today, it was considered quite normal in the 19th century to refer to Jews as Semites, the peoples of the East as Orientals, and the South African blacks as Kafirs. With this in
Sample complete. Ready to continue?